Yeah, Bortoletto, the first thing I have to say about him is he's resilient. This guy had three did not finishes when he was in F3, and he still won the title. And his teammate won four titles, four races that year. He only won two, but he beat his teammate and everybody else by more than 40 points because of his consistency. He's a very precise driver and he doesn't make mistakes. He had DNFs due to things other than his fault. Then this year in Monza, from last place, he came first and opened up the championship. Um, that's what saved his championship. He got a little bit lucky in the last race because Hajar stalled, but he beat Hajar. He beat Aron. Aron is fantastic. He and Aron are both 20 years old, and to me, they're more important than Bortoletto. Bortoletto is 27. If at the age of 20 you've won F3 and F2 back to back, that's a sign that you have great things. Piastri did the same thing, F3, F2. Sunoda did it, F3, F2. Okay, so this guy obviously has something. He's an aggressive passer, but he's precise, and he can handle high speed corners very well. That's a good indicator that this guy has got a good balance of speed and balance and control. I also want to double down on that. He beat Aron. And who else did he beat in F3? He beat Aron and who was the other guy? I got to go to my notes now, and I should know this. This is some bullshit right here. So basically, he beat Aron and another top driver in when he was in F3, and now this year he's beating everybody, Bierman and Co. So he's a very balanced driver, and I think he's making the right trajectory by going to Sauber. He's not going to a big car. I think Antonelli is jumping too far and too soon into a big car. I, I might be wrong. Antonelli has never won F3 or F2, has he? Lorato.
I don't think so.
No, he's never won. And he's
No, I
now
don't.
jumping. He's now
Yeah, I don't
jumping into
know.
the fastest car, one of the fastest cars in the world. When Verstappen first came to Formula One in F2, he drove with Red Bull's junior team, and even after doing that, he was making mistakes when he was with Red Bull and crashing into people. I think they're pushing these drivers too fast into fast cars. Bierman's going into Haas, so this Bortoletto guy is going to go to Sauber. This guy signed Bortoletto in F4, Alonso. And when Verstappen saw Bortoletto driving in F2, he went to Sauber and said, sign this boy. When Verstappen goes to a team that has nothing to do with his own championship potentials and says, sign this boy, it means there's an analysis on him that's good. He was with Invictus last year, which is a McLaren team. He's gone through the McLaren driver training program, the same one that Piastri went through. So you can be sure that he's had top of the line training, and I think once again him going to Sauber. Now I think with Sauber he's either going to be a starting driver or uh, he's going to be a practice driver or he's going to be a reserve driver. Do any of you guys know? I'm not sure. I
I
No,
think he's
think
going to be on the grid.
I think
he
he'll be a
has a seat.
reserve.
He's gonna be on the grid.
Yeah, he's going to be on the grid, but he's on a team that doesn't have the aerodynamics of the faster cars and doesn't is not as edgy. So he's going to build his craftsmanship. And trust me, he's not going to stay. Trust me, McLaren and Red Bull probably have their eyes on him. What do you think, Lorato?
Yeah, he's gonna be driving alongside Hockenberg
Hulkenberg,
next
perfect. Hulkenberg is going to whip
next
his
year
ass for a couple of years, and he's going to learn. But that's the way you do it.
in Sauber. Yeah.
Like in painting,
Um,
Michelangelo learned from somebody. We don't know that person's name anymore. One day we'll know Bortoletto. But go ahead, continue, Lorato.
sure,
Yeah.
sure, sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, apparently he joins the same tier as Leclerc, Russell, and Piastri, who achieved the F2 F3 double.
Yeah.
And that's how then he moves into F1 after having won this
Yeah.
F2 this 2024's F2
Yeah.
title. And of course, like you already mentioned, the impressive showings that he's done, especially the Monza showing
From
going all
last.
the way
Yeah.
from
And then
22.
winning F3 after no winning F3. No, I think it was this. No, it was F2. He had three DNFs earlier in the year and still came back and came from last. So that shows resilience. You continue.
Yeah. And I think he won that F3 season. I think a similar way to how Max won this is like by having early wins. So
Yeah.
because he had that earlier when he really
Yeah,
had a
so you're
push.
right. I made a mistake because earlier I said he had three DNFs. That was F2, and that's even more brilliant to come back after that. Continue though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so I think he's been building up a good like a good
Yeah.
driving style, a good driving tactic. He you mentioned Alonso. I think he's Alonso's protege or something.
Yeah.
And Alonso has been coaching him and teaching him. Um, so yeah, I think, man, he's one rookie to
Yeah.
look out for.
And it's
Obviously,
too, go ahead, girl. You said
the
obviously though, but continue.
yeah. There is the fact that he's Brazilian.
Yeah, you
So
beat me to it. I was gonna say that he's gonna be the next. It's not
yeah.
Colapinto. He's gonna be the next. They're gonna pump billions into this guy because he's gonna be the next
So,
South American market. Go on. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. He's the next Brazilian to race after, I think, the last one they had was Felipe Massa.
Massa,
Um,
yeah, yeah. And before that was
yeah.
PK. Yeah. And by the way,
What
PK is married. Verstappen is married to PK's daughter. You see what's going on here,
to
man?
PK's daughter? Yeah.
And PK's a
So
billionaire.
he's,
You think
he's
PK didn't say Verstappen? You better say my boy good.
yeah. And I don't know if the Fittipaldi who was an F2, is he also related
I
to
think
the
he's
Brazil? Is he
Brazilian. I'm
also
not sure.
Brazilian?
Thank God
Is it?
for Google. Also, I want to add one more thing. So, not around too much beer. Bolero, the other person he beat in every was Colapinto. Colapinto's 27. This guy is 20. That means this guy has more talent than Colapinto because Colapinto has more experience. So he's a better bet. What do you think, Olaracho? Yeah, yeah. But I think Fittipaldi is
Yeah.
Brazilian. Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I think, I mean, the difference with Colapinto is that he also has experience in other racing formats.
yeah. What killed him was those
And
crashes that he made this year. Yeah, mhm.
yeah. And I suppose that time spent doing other things might have honed certain other skills in him. But I
Yeah,
think, something
yeah.
that
Fittipaldi is
uh,
Brazilian. Go ahead. Yeah, yeah,
something that you mentioned, about what makes it about him being at Sauber, is that he gets that chance to make mistakes,
yeah.
and
Without
to
the
feel the
camera on
car,
him. Yeah,
because the F1 car is a little bit heavier than the F2 car, and it does need a little bit of getting used to. But I
yeah,
think it is a progression. Like, if you're racing in F2, you're being prepared for
yeah,
F1.
yeah,
Um, so it should be a seamless sort of like transition,
yeah,
um, especially moving to a team
yeah.
like Sao Paulo, where there isn't a
Yeah.
lot of pressure and things like that. And I think, he was also signed to he I think he was in the McLaren
Invictus,
development
yeah, in
team.
F2. And he went through
Yeah.
their
So
training program. Yeah.
through the McLaren, your training program.
Trust me,
Um,
somebody gave them a lot of money to let him go. Yeah. And also they have
yeah,
to let him go
yeah.
because they have two drivers who will be driving for the next 7 years. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. So I mean, yeah, I think Stella did say they there would be no reason for them to like hold him up from a seat.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah. So I think, um, yeah, I think it's great that we have a new face on the seat,
Yeah.
on the grid.
Next year is
Um,
going to be bloody. Next year is going to be
yeah,
the best Formula One year ever, man. I promise you. It's because of these young guys and more teams. We don't even have to watch the front grid anymore. We can watch the middle and the race for sixth place, and it will be just as fun if you're a Formula One purist. It's only the
sure.
it's only the I call them the glamorous fans. They just want to see who wins or see what the gossip is. But the real sport is going to be the real race is going to be those lower teams and see how teams. And then you got this guy in Williams. Did you see the Williams? It looks slow as fuck. They showed Science practicing driving it in Abu Dhabi. It looked like a tank. Did you see it? They showed videos of the Abu Dhabi testing.
Yeah. That
That
he's
car
already
is
started
slow.
testing.
That car
Um,
is slow. But also, I don't think he's going to be. He's not used to the car, and he's is the day after the season. He's not driving all out either. But the car looked heavy. But the thing is that what I'm saying is
yeah,
that these lower teams are going to put pressure on the mid-level teams. What do you think, Lorenzo? Then we'll go to Afalabi. Afalabi's just taking notes now because he hasn't been able to speak yet. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
finish
no, no.
up
I
Afalabi.
think, yeah, I think we're going to see an improvement with Williams with Science being there.
Yeah.
Because he was saying already that he was already making notes on how the car was performing in those last laps. He had already given up on the race, and he was like, I was just taking notes, thinking about what I must tell to the Williams engineers about where to change the cars, how to make it feel
Oh, you mean when
a
he was
little
doing
bit
the
better.
practice test?
No, I'm saying
Right.
he was
Or
in the
Ferrari
last five laps of the race. That's where
of
his
his race
mind was.
yesterday. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
good
yeah,
because if they're not invested in him, he shouldn't be invested in them. You get my point?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's where his mind was. So
Beautiful. Yeah.
yeah. So I think his input is going to be very crucial
Yeah.
in terms of improving the car's
Doing that.
performance.
And to be honest with you, he may not see this, but I'm not a Christian, but I believe in biblical wisdom. The Lord did him a favor by getting him out of Ferrari because it's clear that if he stayed with Ferrari next year, him and Leclerc will end up being enemies. And Leclerc is beginning to get testy. And I think Lewis Hamilton is going to see that it's not going to be easy for him because I think Ferrari is going to move forward with Leclerc. So I think this guy did a good job. And if he can bring that team up, he will still come up to the front of the grid. And even if he doesn't, so what? He's a billionaire. And I want to push this narrative in Formula One. It's not about whether you win; it's about what you do with what you have. What do you think, Afalabi? Then we'll go to Lorato. What do you think, Afalabi? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
I agree with you. It's going to be a very interesting season next year, and I think it will be a real season of evolution for Ferrari. But back to the precocious talent of Gabriel Bartoletto, there
yeah.
at his age, there's something he does so well that really amazes me. He's a very aggressive driver, but he doesn't make too many mistakes. He's precise.
Precise.
He's precise with his
Sort of reminds
aggression.
me of Sorry to cut in front of you, but just quickly, Piastri's like that too, and they both come from the
Exactly.
same. They both come from the same training. They both had
Oh,
F2
okay.
training in
At Red Bull.
Invictus.
With
No, no, not
McLaren,
Red
yeah.
Bull. McLaren.
Okay,
Go ahead, continue.
McLaren. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so and he tends to approach high-speed corners too in a very, very measured way. He's a late breaker. He exits fast. And another interesting thing is if you look at his performances, he is able to manage high pressure situations. For example, last to finish win in Formula 2, that feat really underscored his ability and determination in very challenging conditions. And then a 22nd place to victory in a very key race, also in Formula 2. And if you look at the trajectory of his performance, is similar to the likes of Oscar Piastri, Charles Leclerc, and George Russell in winning Formula 3 and Formula 2. So if you look
yeah.
at its trajectory, it's very similar to those of Oscar Piastri, Charles Leclerc, and George Russell, winning back-to-back titles in Formula 3 and Formula 2. And like you rightly mentioned, he didn't take a jump to a big team. He's being very progressive and measured. He decides to go to Sauber, where
Yeah.
he can have the opportunity to build his racecraft without any significant pressure, which I think is good for his
And I
development.
think that's it. It's not about talent, it's about preparation. And so now
Preparation,
let's go back to
exactly.
Piastri. Piastri went to Alpine. He didn't go straight to McLaren. They're
McLaren,
throwing these young boys.
exactly.
F2, let me tell you the truth. I looked at an F2 car. It looks like a 1992 Formula One car. It's not the same thing.
Of course.
You can't start off in a Mercedes or a Ferrari or a Red Bull.
And
Your
and the car
first year.
is lighter
Yeah.
in weight,
Also,
like
George Russell. Who does George
Lerato
Russell
said.
drive with? Williams. Yeah. Williams. Yeah. So my point being is those are the guys. All the champions that we've seen from before started off with lower teams. The only
Exactly,
travesty
yeah.
is that this guy is still with Red Bull Cash App,
Yeah.
the Japanese, and that's wrong. But continue with your point. You were making a point before I spoke. Yeah,
Yeah, so his campaign demonstrated his ability and racecraft. Some
yeah,
standout performances like in Bahrain, Melbourne, and Silverstone. He showcased his ability to dominate from the front and recover strongly from setback. Even in this particular Abu Dhabi race, the guy that stalled, that
Haja. No,
yeah, Hajar, that he won second from, he was able to finish with 214 points as against Isaac Hajar, who made 192 points. So he's had a
but
very
Haja
successful
stalled.
season.
Unfortunately, yeah,
Yes, he
yeah,
stalled, unfortunately. So
yeah.
he's been very consistent throughout the season, and he's a deserved winner. And I think he's a good decision that is actually going to Sauber next season.
Yeah.
I think that will help his development, and it would actually make him a better driver.
Yeah. Now, before we continue, isn't it ironic though that Liam Lawson, man, he's going to be driving with Red Bull, and he's nowhere near the caliber of these guys as proven. And when I look at Liam Lawson, he's a good driver, but there's nothing that stands out about him. But now he has a position in one of the top teams in the. But part of that is because of politics and because Verstappen doesn't want anybody. But I just think it's ironic. What do you think, Lorato? Then we'll go back to Afolabi.
Yeah. No, I mean, I find it very strange that they went for Lawson instead of giving.
Although it's not official, but that's the rumor. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of first giving Yuki the opportunity to sort of prove himself on that stage, I feel like it's like a wasted opportunity. I think. Yeah, but it is what it is.
But also,
And
go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think Lawson is anything more than Colapinto or any, like, I think he's just as
No,
good
no,
as
no.
Colapinto.
And also, clearly, Lawson is just a mule. He's a guinea pig for Red Bull. That's going to be the end of his career. That's what ended Checo's career. I'm going to show respect to Checo. Checo showed he's won 6 races with Red Bull. It's not his fault he lost this year. It's just that when you drive with Red Bull, there's only one driver. It's just like Michael Schumacher. Continue. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that might be, I suppose, maybe not bad for Yuki, because he gets to be number 1 driver where he's at, but unfortunately,
Yeah. But
he
I want to
won't
see him try to make some upward movements, but it's going to be difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, but he won't have a top tier car, which is what he
The
needs.
best he could do is Aston Martin, maybe. Well, unless Toyota jumps in, yeah. But Aston Martin's the best.
Yeah. To stop making real impressions on on like the standings, on getting points, on getting podium and things like that. So yeah, I feel like they should give him a chance to.
Also, this is going to be
car.
controversial, but I get the sense that Yuki is like someone who just likes racing. He's sort of immature. I would even say Lawson is more mature in that Lawson knows how to kiss the boss's ass. Yuki doesn't. You know?
Possibly.
Yeah. No. Yuki is erratic. He doesn't listen to anybody at all. At least, for example, if Yuki had given somebody the finger and what's his name said, "Come and talk to me later," Yuki would be like, "Nah, man, I gotta go play Naruto." I'm serious. I'm not joking. What I'm trying to say is that Yuki is hard headed. He's a stubborn person, and so it's going to be difficult for. And also, I don't get the sense that he works with the mechanics and gives feedback like people like Sainz. But so he's in a weird position. But he's ultimately a very talented driver. What are your thoughts, Falabi? Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. Yuki to me looks like a robot. He's programmed. He's like a Japanese robot that is programmed. He has very little emotions, and he plays. He's either like a computer,
but he's cheeky, very cheeky. He's very cheeky.
Very cheeky. Yeah. So he drives like a robot, and he believes in his ability. He's not an emotional person, really. That's the way I see him. And this Lam Lawson going to Red Bull, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like a guinea pig for Max Verstappen. Really, I just hope they don't expose him to the extent that it affects his career.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Checo makes a lot of money for Red Bull. There's going to be a drop in revenue, whether they like it or not, because Liam Lawson is not a big name.
Yeah, the only thing is that Verstappen brings so much revenue. And for me, to be honest with you, I think that Christian Horner cares more about winning the driver championship than even super profits. And also, what's his name? Helmut Marko. Both of them are not about money. I mean, they're about money, but they're not about the constructor's title. Neither of them.
Of course, as long as they have Max, they don't really care about what happens.
Yeah. What do you think, Lorato, about that angle? Red Bull is different because Red Bull makes money from their drinks into. I think Red Bull is doing this just as for Red Bull. It goes to Mateschitz, who was their visionary. It's not so much about anything other than having the world champion. It's a visionary thing, and no matter what, because they make so much money in rally and other things. Yeah. So because they had Vettel. Remember, Vettel was the same. Yeah.
I also think, like, in terms of to use for lack of a better word, in terms of like diversifying their market. If we talk about the capitalistic thing, I still see Yuki as a better option because he gets them into that Japanese
Yeah.
market.
But the problem is that it boils down to. Go ahead. I'll let you finish the Japanese market.
Yeah, and with Zhou Guanyu no longer being on the grid, Yuki is the only East Asian racer on the grid. So I think if we look at those kinds of politics, he still brings in that amount of value.
So
That I think I'm not sure Lawson brings as
yeah,
much
you're right.
as a
We
New
have to
Zealand.
remember. You're absolutely right. You have to remember. So this is. I hate to say this, but you've just given us some more proof that between Marco and Horner, they're old school bigots. That's the best word we can use. They're bigots. They're bigots. And then there's the other thing about Verstappen. They will, if Verstappen gets aggravated, he will leave. So to please him, then also Marco, he makes statements like he said something, Norris is not mentally fit. He makes like old Nazi type statements
Oh
about you.
yeah,
Sounds
sure.
like eugenics. And Horner keeps people after his. It's clear he sexually harassed somebody inappropriate. So it seems like that team does have a little bit of a bigoted, machoistic Anglo angle in its team, and they do some things the wrong way. So I think what you've done is pointed out because it makes more sense for them to have Yuki. And everybody knows you. If you told Yuki, look, man, you got to chill a little bit. Verstappen is the guy. Yuki would listen. I think he would actually listen. But there is that last part though that Yuki's erratic. He may not listen because I think Yuki has ADHD. You're like, sorry, I wanted to back off, but I had to crash into him because I could. Yuki is a very hyperactive type of person. But I think what it boils down to is that Red Bull is an old white boys association. What do you think, Lorato? Then we'll go to Afolabi. Yep.
Yeah, it might like this makes it seem a little bit more
Yeah,
like
because
that.
they could have even just
Because
put Yuki and start him off and then use an excuse later, but they don't even give him any consideration. It's disrespectful. Sorry, continue. Yeah.
yeah. Because I mean, even the idea of Checo being there was also another kind of like rational, like
Yeah.
a diversity rationale, having
Bring
a
him in. I would
Mexican.
have kept him, to be honest with you. I would have kept Checo. He's
And
bringing in so much
yeah,
money. I would have kept him. Yeah.
yeah, and he comes with all the benefits of funding and all those things.
You know what I
And
think?
actually,
I think,
on a side note,
yeah,
science is already attracting new sponsors to
Williams.
William.
No, I predict
Yeah,
the fight for fifth place in Formula One is going to be bloody. You have Haas, you have Williams, you have with Gasly. Gasly is with
Alpine.
Alpine, right? He's with Alpine,
Yeah,
right?
Alpine.
Alpine, yeah.
Yeah,
I always get Alpine confused with Sauber. But at the beginning of the year, people were insulting Alpine that it's the heaviest, rubbishest car. And then Gasly pushed it that far. So you get to see. So yeah, so you're right. So he's attracting money. So I think parity is going to come into play, especially next year and moving on. And I think it's going to be good for Formula One. And then with Chevrolet, and I think the one constant is this is why Verstappen will keep on winning because even though there's parity, he brings an extra 0.2 seconds over every driver. So even if he only wins 3 races next year, the other guys will cancel out themselves. What do you think, Afolabi? Then we'll go to Lorato.
Yes, I agree. As long as Red Bull have Max Verstappen, they have that confidence. They have that confidence that they have is like the cash cow, really. And whoever comes to partner him in Red Bull would have to accept the fact that he's the main driver. If you look at Yuki Tsunoda, in terms of pure experience, he is better than Liam Lawson. Liam Lawson is a rookie. He doesn't have
Yeah,
as much experience as Tsunoda. Tsunoda is in his fourth season in Formula One. But one other thing I have against Sunoda is that he has flashes of brilliance, but once in a while he's temperamental and he's
yeah,
not so
yeah,
consistent. And if you have
yeah,
that kind of person driving beside Max Verstappen, he may upset the apple cart, much against what the team
yeah.
principal and the others want. He may not go along the script that they have prepared for the Red Bull team. So because of his kind of temperament and the fact that he's not very consistent, they might see it as a kind of risk, as
Yeah.
compared with Lawson. But in terms of experience, by a country mile, he's better than Liam Lawson.
Yeah, no, by a national mile. I'm just joking. How much time do we have left? Yeah.
I think we have just a minute. Let me check. We have about 8 minutes.
9 minutes.
Okay, a
Eight
minute.
minutes,
So
yeah.
let's talk about Iran. Iran is going to be that was the other guy. He's going to be a reserve driver for Alpine. Perfect. He's 20 years old. He's going to get experience. My prediction is that you're going to see Iran and Bortoletto within 8 years. They'll still in 8 years they'll be 28, and they'll be at the top of the grid. Verstappen will be gone. George Russell will be 35. I'm making a bold prediction. You're going to see Iran and Bortoletto 8 years from now, or even 5 or 6 years from now, and they're going the right way. They're not the glamour boys like Antonelli and Bierman who are starting off with great teams. Where's Hodger going next year? Does he have a seat? Yeah.
I think he's staying at F2. I'm not sure.
F2, yeah,
I
That's
think
not
definitely.
good.
he's
It would have been better for
I think,
Hodger to be a
but I
reserve
think
driver.
he's been testing for Red Bull.
Yeah.
I think he did a test in Max's car in
How old is
Qatar.
he? Yeah, he did it. And also, I watched it. He was having a lot of he uses the back of the car, which doesn't work in modern Formula One. He
He's
was having a lot of
Bortoletto's main rival.
he was
He's
having a lot of
Bortoletto's main
understeer.
rival.
Hodger. Yeah.
He's
Hodger was having a
Bortoletto's
lot
main
of
rival.
understeer. Yeah, he had a lot of understeer and free practices. Did you see that, Lorato? Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
And the car looked like a fish. It was doing like this. He's not ready yet. He needs another year. But I would think it would be good for them to take him to Haas as a reserve driver. But let him do one more year. I think they want to let him do one more year for marketing because F2 is suffering, man. They need to have somebody. but yeah.
Yeah,
So what are your thoughts? Going back to the Iran thing, what are your thoughts, Lorato? Yeah.
Yeah, no. I do look forward to those battles, and I am still looking forward to Hajar making it to F1.
Oh,
As
he'll
soon
definitely
as
be in
he
F1. He'll definitely be in F1.
Yeah, as soon as he gets his wits about him, I don't think he'll have trouble adjusting. So yeah, I think he's going to continue as a Red Bull junior driver in 2025. Possibly under the Campos
Yeah.
Racing
Yeah.
banner to continue that. I don't know if F2 sort of limits the number of seasons that a driver
How old is he?
can try out for. I think he's 20.
Let me check.
We'll check. Let's check now.
Yep.
Um,
Okay, I'm going to bring up another subject, and I'll check it.
he's 20. He's
Yeah,
20.
so he's also
He's
young.
20.
No,
He's born in
Hadja has no problem.
2004.
One more year. So let me go back to what I was going to say before. So when you look at Piastri, same thing. The development. We have to give a shout out to McLaren's driver development because all of their drivers are flawless. Even Norris is flawless. He doesn't make technical mistakes. He has a psychological problem. It's not a driving problem. It's a problem in psychology. But he's also a flawless, balanced driver who you can't say breaks late or breaks early. He's right there in the pocket. Same thing with Piastri. And now you have this guy coming there, Bortoletto. What do you think about that idea? Lorato. Yeah. Yeah. It's clear that McLaren has a good driver training program. Yeah.
I think they do have a good driver training program. I think McLaren has an overall good program under Andrea Stella.
And even Zach Brown, who I hate on sometimes, they don't do driver favorites, which is good in the long run.
I think Zach Brown is a good marketing strategist, and he's been able to raise the funds that the team needed and get the right kind of partnerships with the Mercedes engine and everything. Because I think that relationship that they have with
money
Mercedes
is everywhere, man. Those guys have money. Yeah, those guys have money.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the relationship that they have with
they even call it McLaren
Mercedes.
Yeah.
Mercedes Works engineers is pretty progressive because they feed each other information back and forth. But I think my opinion is that Stella is the person who's a little bit more pivotal in terms of bringing this kind of success to.
Yeah, and he's not in the press. He's never in the press. No scandals, nothing, man.
Yeah, but the amount of experience that he has in F1 having worked. I think he worked in Ferrari with Schumacher earlier on in '96. I remember seeing a
Oh yeah, so
video
he
of
has the history. Yeah, he has the history. Yeah.
yeah, so he has a really proper history. I think he has a PhD in aerodynamics,
That's
which I
crazy, man. Jesus
yeah,
Christ, man.
which I think shows us exactly why
Oh,
McLaren
he knows what he's doing. They have good
what it
precision.
was this year.
Yeah.
So that all that amount of experience working in Ferrari, being an aerodynamicist, and all the other teams, I think all the other teams that he's worked in F1 with, he was really able to put everything together,
Yeah.
in a way that he was able to
Yeah.
make impact on that team.
Yeah. Not to steal his limelight, but the technical director from Haas is also brilliant. The Japanese guy, fantastic. The work he did with
Is it
Haas is
Komatsu?
fantastic. Yeah, he's fantastic. He's a I
Yeah,
forgot his name. What's his name? Fantastic. And I wish I'm gonna have
Komatsu.
to type his name because I don't want to say not give his name and people say that is
Komatsu.
Komatsu, yeah, fantastic. And you see it with
Yeah.
the Haas car. It's a clean car. And it's beginning to get more balance. And it has the most straight line speed out of any car. Yeah, what do you think? Falabi? Then we'll go quickly to Lorato to end. Yeah, what do you think about that, Falabi? Yeah.
Yes, I quite agree with you, and it makes this 2025 season very intriguing. On one hand, we have Adrian Newey going to Aston Martin, a legend
Oh, come a
who,
little bit closer. Sorry, you're a
yeah,
little bit
yes, yes.
behind.
I think it just makes the 2025 season very intriguing. On one
Yeah,
hand, you have one of the greatest aerodynamists of all time going to Aston, Adrian Newey, and then you have um, uh, Ferrari having Hamilton as driver. You have Mercedes with their changes. And then you have Red Bull with the uncertainty of who's going to partner Max. It proves to be a very exciting season. In fact, I can't wait for 2025. And then
yeah.
with all the changes in the engine setups and the aerodynamics and
That'll be
everything.
2026. Yeah.
2026. Okay, that's the hybrid
It's
engine
going to be
thing.
powertrain. And my prediction is that Mercedes is,
Powertrain. So
my
next
prediction
year,
is that, go ahead. Yeah.
next year is going to be really very interesting because there's been a lot of changes. Sainz has left, Hamilton has gone to Ferrari, Adrian Newey is now at
Yeah.
Aston. So there's going to be a lot of, you can't second guess next season.
Yeah. And next season, all the teams are converging. Pure chaos. It's pure chaos. Haas is going to be up somewhere between third and fifth. Then you've got Gasly. So all the teams are converging. So next year will be the
And
greatest
then
year.
you have
But my
Sainz
prediction,
as Williams as well.
yeah.
So
But my
it's going to be
prediction
an
is that
interesting season.
by 2027, George Russell should be ready to win a championship because I think the transition to the powertrain is going to help. One last thing, also, so Honda is the one that's providing the Honda is going to be is working with Ferrari and Haas, right? Lorato, right? Or is it Honda or Toyota? Yeah.
Toyota is going to be
Toyota.
working
So what I'm saying is that
with Haas.
so Ferrari and Haas are
Yeah,
intermingling with each other, and they have the Toyota aerodynamics. So you're going to see some fantastic things. On that note of what I'm speaking, I'll finish off for. Give us your last thoughts on that, Lorato. Yeah.
yeah. I think Haas getting time in the Toyota wind tunnels is going to greatly
And
boost
Ferrari
their
will get that
performance.
information too. Yes.
Yeah. Because Toyota is already doing well in other racing
Yeah.
formats, and we see it even in the street cars that they build and things like that. So yeah, it should be a
Yeah.
great season.
That would be great. Yeah.
Going to be tight
Yeah.
up
Is it
front. We're going to be seeing qualifications being decided within
Yeah.
hundreds
Next
and
year's gonna be
thousands of
crazy. Next year's gonna be crazy. Yeah.
um, yeah, because Mercedes ended the year on a high. If they keep all the data and all
Oh,
of that, and they come back
George
with that
Russell's the
speed,
happiest man in the world now. He doesn't have any challenges.
yeah, and yeah, he doesn't have to compete with Hamilton next year. So yeah, it should be a great one. Looking forward to 2025. It's gonna be
Yeah.
a long, cold December without F1, but
Yeah.
yeah, we're still here talking through
Yeah.
all the little bits
Hey, I don't know if you
like
guys
it's